Hello everybody and welcome to another fly tying session with your host Scott. Today we're going to be reenacting a little bit of history. We're doing Sawyer's Pheasant Tail Nymph, almost exactly how the great river keeper did it. Now Frank Sawyer was a river keeper on the Wiltshire Avon, near the village of Netheravon, and back in those days a river keeper was basically judged on the amount of fish that were caught, and he needed to devise a way to pluck trout out of the river when they weren't taking dry flies. A lot of the chalk streams in the south of England are very strict on certain rules, and it's upstream casting only, etc. So he came up with this way to pull the stubborn trout out, basically. Now the fly was tied using just two ingredients: copper wire and a centre pheasant tail feather. And in this case we're going to be using a Camazam B830 in size 14, and the wire is quite readily available. This is one by Vineyard, a very fine wire, 0.125mm. And from this fly there has been millions of variants, one of which is on my channel, and that's one I've named myself, because, you know, if you've created something you can name it. So if you guys are just beginning in fly tying and you've got a good imagination, you are allowed to name your own flies. It's the rules. So I've done a lot of research for this particular episode, and Frank Sawyer got a particular way of tying this fly which is unique. He didn't use a bobbin holder, in all fairness, but I'm going to hopefully demonstrate it exactly how the man did it, except obviously I'm using a bobbin holder to try and keep everything tight. I watched a video of him doing it. I'm assuming it was filmed in the 50s at some point. And this is the fly that is in his book of 1958. So hopefully we'll get started. So it really is a quite quick and easy tie. In fact, the amount of time I've been gassing for is probably how long it will take to tie it. So you're going to come in just like you would with your threads, but you want to create a bit of a lump towards the eye of the hook. Leave a bit of room. Now at this point you can adjust the weight of the fly. You can do loose turns to the bend, or you can do close turns to the bend, and that adjusts the weight of the fly for the flow of the river that you're fishing and so on. I'm going to do open turns to about where the bend starts. Now you can get rid of this rib in this version. Well, it'll be a rib in the other version. I'm going to show another way of doing this which gets the same result, but it's a lot easier to do. So you're going to get probably 8 fibres off your pheasant tail. Pull them 90 degrees from the stem and then tear away so that they line up. You want a very, very short tail. Probably no more than that, just past the bend of the hook. And then you're going to get your pheasant tail and go the same way with the wire, and basically pair it up with the wire and wind. like so. And then separate it from your wire at the eye. And tie it off. Oh, hang on, what's going on here? And that's all you need. You don't need to bunch it up. And then you want to do a loose couple of turns back to where the thorax would start. Pull the thorax cover over. No more than 2 turns to tie it off. You don't want it too bulky with the wire. That's the main reason. And you're going to trim the excess away. And then you're going to either half hitch or whip finish. That's completely up to the operator here. I'm going to half hitch because that's what I know how to do. But you need to be very careful you don't break the wire when you do that. Just take your time with it and you'll be fine. And then trim off. Now it's up to you whether you varnish that, but for speed of the video I'm going to leave it as it is. And then I'm going to show you another way to do it. This is more closely to Davy McPhail's way of doing it. In fact, it's probably exactly how Davy McPhail would tie it. If you want to see how it's done better, I suggest you watch his channel. In fact, I suggest you watch his channel full stop. So we're going to go in with the same hook. We're just going to start exactly the same way again. Now again, you can make this as heavy or as light as you like. You can do a few more turns if you like, but I'm going to leave it at that. And then I'm going to do loose turns in this one. It's just basically to save the wire because it's not exactly a lot of it on this spool. And then you're going to leave this bit in. That bit. Leave that where it is. Don't cut that off with this method. Same again with your pheasant tail fibres. Very short tail once again. Tie it in at the bend and then pull that back. Go up to nearly to the eye and then wind it how you would a traditional pheasant tail. I'm going the opposite way to the wire in this case. If it's getting a bit short for you, just pop your finger over it there. Tie it off. And you need a couple of turns. Then you're going to rib the fly with your loose end. And tie that off. And now you can trim that away. Then you're going to do some open turns back to where you want the thorax to start. Pull your pheasant tail fibres over to create your thorax cover or your wing case. 1, 2, that's all you need. Trim away. Again, you can whip finish or you can half hitch. Very carefully, don't break the wire. And again, you can varnish this or super glue it, it's completely up to you. A little bit of super glue might actually help it to hold together a bit longer. And there we have it, that's how Davy McPhail would tie one. You may have noticed there's no legs, or a beard hackle, as some people would know it as. That is intentional. Frank Sawyer observed that swimming nymphs tuck their legs in at the sides when they're swimming along. The other thing I wanted to mention is this fly was also devised to be used to induce a take. It was known as the Netheravon Style, named after the village that he worked out of. And what he would do, he'd cast upstream of a trout, he'd let the fly get down nice and deep to the fish, and then just as it's getting near the fish, he'd lift his rod or he'd tighten the line to get the nymph to swim up and in front of the fish. To us, it's known as the Induced Take, but that's what it was called back then. It was called the Netheravon Style, and it must have been very effective because this fly has stood the test of time. It's basically a traditional nymph. So there we are. I think that's enough history on it. Thank you very, very much for watching. Please like, share and subscribe. And we'll see you in the next one. Bye bye for now.